We're back with Bedtime Stories Grown-Up Edition. Like Mother, Like Daughter, Part 10. When we left off, Marcus had a conversation with Miss Cheryl where she told him the entire story from her perspective about what happened with her, Aunt Angela, and Stephanie's father, Angel, and Maria. In Denver, Angela just came home from another therapy session. When she pulled up in the parking lot, she saw Q standing by his truck talking to Pastor Stephen, Tanya's husband. They had their backs turned to her and their heads together, so she just kept going into the church for her appointment. When she got home, she realized that her feet were starting to swell. She's 24 weeks pregnant, and she's starting to become a little concerned that she might not make it to her due date. So she's getting concerned about whether she's going to be able to have her grand opening in 8 weeks. Plus, it's fall in Denver. The temperature is averaging around the 60s, and so she's worried about what the winter is going to be like. When she pulls up in the driveway, Q is waiting for her. He comes over to the driver's side door, helps her out of the car, walks her into the house, takes off her jacket and hangs it up, helps her out of her shoes, directs her to one of the sitting rooms where there's a pot of tea and some protein cookies waiting for her, helps her into the recliner, goes back outside and parks her truck in the garage, and comes back in the house. Angela's sitting there sipping her tea, thinking to herself, Marcus would never. Angela sits there expecting that Q's going to come back into the room, and while she's waiting, she falls asleep. A few hours later, she wakes up. She's upstairs in her bed, under a blanket, with her bonnet on. She pulls the blanket off. She realizes that she's still fully dressed and all is well. She heads downstairs, and she finds Q sitting in her dining room, and realizes that he's sitting there reading the Bible. She smells the aroma of some good food, and when she looks over in the kitchen, there's a plate waiting for her. She walks over and grabs the plate, brings it back to the dining room table, sits down, looks over at Q. He eats her food silently while she watches him read. And when he finishes, she says to him, I didn't realize you were a believer. Q says, can't live without God. Angela says, I saw you in the parking lot of church when I was there for my therapy session. As a matter of fact, this is the second or third time that I've seen you there. He asks her how her therapy is going, and she tells him that it's going well. She's gotten some closure around her parents' relationships, some clarity around her relationship with Marcus, and a greater understanding of how God can use her pain to help free other women. She then asks Q if he's going to tell her why he's been at the church. He tells her that just like anybody else, he's made some mistakes in the past. Nothing quite like the mistakes that Marcus has made, but he has his own share. And if it wasn't for LJ and God, he probably wouldn't be here. So to keep himself on track, he makes sure that he does what's necessary to stay on the righteous path and stay as close to God and his principles as he can. Angela says, so I guess that means you're not going to tell me. Q says, no. Now, you need to have a conversation with your doctor. Angela says, about what? Q says, about your feet swelling and about how hard you sleep. Do you know how many times I tried to wake you up before I finally just decided to carry you upstairs? You didn't stir. I carried you upstairs, laid you in your bed, put a blanket on you and a bonnet on your head, and you didn't wake up for hours. Angela said, I got this. I appreciate your concern, though. Q said, okay, just as long as you understand. I care about you. I care about what happens. I'm here to support you. I could have gone home months ago. You have security in place. You have friends locally. But I know how much you mean to LJ and Regina. And I've been here long enough to realize that you need support. I've been around plenty of pregnant women to know. As far along as you are, it's still a little early for the feet swelling. You need to have that checked. The next day, Angela gets a call from the construction team saying that they need her to come by and approve some last-minute changes in order for them to execute the plan. Q overhears the conversation, and he asks Angela if she'd like to go to a pumpkin festival after she goes over to check out the building. At first, Angela's a little hesitant, kind of sounds like a date to her, and Q insists that it absolutely isn't. He loves pumpkin festivals. He hasn't been to one in quite some time, and since it is fall and it's going to get cold, he wants to take advantage of the opportunity while he can. Angela agrees to go. She puts on a cute fall maternity outfit. Hugh gets dressed in his usual attire, black on black on black, and they head out to the building. When they arrive, Angela doesn't see the construction supervisor anywhere, but all of a sudden she hears a dog barking. When she turns and looks, Bentley is running towards her full steam ahead with a cute little blue bow wrapped around his neck like a collar and a shirt on that says, "My little brother is on his way." Regina, LJ, Bernie, and Stephanie jump out and scream surprise, and Angela is overjoyed to see them. She is happy to see the humans, but she is ecstatic to see her doggy son. When she reads his cute little shirt, she's overjoyed to realize that she's having a boy, and this is her gender reveal. They go into one of the conference rooms that's been completed, and it's all decorated. There's food, there's drinks, there's games, and on the big screen television on the wall, her mother and Miss Brenda are connected via Zoom. Angela looks over at Q and says, "Is this the pumpkin festival?" Q says, "Yep." Bernie lets Angela know that Marcus has agreed to liquidation of the assets as well as severance for all of the staff and to dissolve the business, and that she'll be moving to Denver in 2 months in perfect time for the grand opening and before Angela's scheduled to deliver the baby. Angela is overwhelmed, grateful, thankful, and just full of joy. About a week later, Marcus has processed the paperwork back in North Carolina to dissolve the business, and he decides to do a little recognizance of his own. He gets the FedEx tracking information from the business attorney who has mailed the paperwork to Angela using the petitioner's address that was on the separation papers. He tracks the FedEx package until it's scheduled for delivery, and then he heads out to the address. He parks outside and waits to see what the man who's at the house is going to do when the package arrives. The FedEx delivery driver pulls up, goes to the door. The man comes out, signs for several packages, goes back inside, grabs a few other packages and a jacket, hops in his car, and drives away. And Marcus follows. Marcus is hoping that the man is going to lead him to wherever it is that Angela is staying, but the man pulls up outside of Whitmire, Langley and Associates. Marcus is disappointed. He drives away and heads back to the office. What he doesn't know is that Jessica followed him when he left the office and followed him from the address to the law firm. Wesley and Delaney were in position, so they know that Jessica followed Marcus to the law firm. They get on a three-way call with LJ. LJ tells Delaney to follow Jessica instead of Marcus. He tells Wesley to stay at the law firm and he'll meet him there. And he calls Lauren and has her and Brielle wait for him so that he can come and they can have a meeting. The group meets at the law firm, and Brielle is pretty confident that Jessica isn't going to put two and two together because Jessica has never named Marcus or Angela, and Brielle has never shared any information with her about what she does at the firm. LJ warns her to be very careful because if Jessica has resorted to following Marcus, she's becoming more unhinged. They all leave the law firm, including Brielle, because she has a hair appointment, so she took a half day at work. Meanwhile, Delaney is following Jessica at a safe distance so as not to be seen, but Jessica starts driving erratically on the freeway, and too much distance gets between Jessica and Delaney right when a car accident happens. It causes a 7-car pileup that separates Delaney and Jessica. So Delaney is stuck in traffic and Jessica is gone. Eventually, Delaney is able to get off the highway, and she assumes that Jessica is going back to the office. So she heads to the firm, where she sees Marcus's car and Jessica's car both parked in the garage. So she waits there for Wesley to come and/or for Marcus to leave. During the time when Delaney was stuck in traffic, Brielle was driving to her hair appointment. She's riding down the side road, jamming to her music pumped up loud, when all of a sudden, she gets a text message. And we got the screenshots. Brielle looks down to read the message, and just as she looks back up, she sees a car coming directly at her head on. She swerves to miss the car, runs off the road, goes down an embankment. The car flips head over head multiple times and lands in a ravine. The driver of the other car keeps going. They don't stop, and they don't even call for emergency assistance.